Welcome to the Leaderish Podcast, leadership lessons straight up, with your hosts, Dr. Jen and Regina. Hey, Jen, how's it going?
Hey, Regina, I'm great. I just came from the farmer's market. It's a beautiful Saturday in Nashville. And as you know, I live across the street. So went over there for lunch and it was packed and there are people everywhere. And it was just lovely. How are you?
I am wonderful. And do you want to know why?
I would love to, of course.
We've hit 400 downloads.
Oh, that's crazy.
More like 420 something. Like we're over 400 downloads.
That is so awesome. And I think what amazes me is we have a very consistent following. I mean, obviously, we hope to reach more people with more things that we do, but we have a loyal following. So Thank you, everyone, because that's incredible.
It is so incredible. And we're going to keep going. I mean, they say that the 10th episode is like, if you can make it to 10, then you're good. And we're past 10 now. So yay us.
So 400 downloads, past 10 episodes. Yep. This is still incredibly surreal and just amazing. So,
yeah. And we do record like early. So we get our recordings usually ready several weeks before so that we can edit and listen and all of that stuff. So we are actually at 400 downloads with our 8th episode launching
yesterday, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Absolutely.
Yay. Crazy. Well, let's have a special intro to my favorite segment, the drink of the day then. Let's have a little cheers to what we're doing and 400 downloads and 10 episodes. And so cheers to that.
Amen. Cheers.
I love it. So on that note, what are you drinking today?
It's Saturday afternoon. We've been sportsing all morning with the boys, soccer and baseball. So I am still on my water.
Because you've been out in the sun.
I have. But I think that you have not been sportsing this morning. What are you drinking?
So as you can see, our listeners cannot see, so I'm going to describe it. I have a sippy cup with a straw full of red wine, and it is from our new friends at the farmer's market, a lovely local winery called Natchez Hills Winery. I am now part of their wine club because I just came from there, and I got some wine, joined the wine club, and they actually gave me this glass of their brand new delicious Petite Syrah for the drink of the day. So that's incredible. I'm so excited. It's like almost being sponsored.
And so but that's not a wine glass, Jen. That's like a plastic dishwasher safe to go cup with like one of those thick kid straws that make the whistle when you blow through them. I mean, I know this because I have children.
True.
Like this is no small glass of wine.
This is not. So I'm going to pace myself as we go through our conversation today.
Thank you.
But yes, actually, they have wine slushies as well. And so technically this is their wine slushy cup. It just so happens to have red wine in it.
Wow.
Which I just took a sip of.
So today we have one of my dear friends, Lynn Woodson, joining us. Lynn, what's in your cup? What are you drinking?
I have a friend who is really into making excellent coffee. And so I have Pete's Big Bang coffee, but with an extra special shot of Screwball peanut butter whiskey in it. So
wow, I recently heard of that. We went on vacation to the beach and it's all anyone was talking about. That sounds great in coffee.
It is great in coffee. I don't drink it solo, but in coffee, it is magnifico.
Wow. And I love Pete's. My cousin actually just recently introduced me to Pete's. That is delicious coffee. And then the peanut butter whiskey in it. Oh,
yeah, it well even done. Tipped the scale because normally I'm a Prosecco girl because bubbles make me happy. But today we're having a little Screwball. Goes with the theme, I think.
Mm.
I love it.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why you're here and what you're going to talk to us about today. You have joined us to focus in on being a leader through trauma, through depression. How do you lead your team and lead others through that journey?
I'm really excited for this topic. I
Mhm.
know it sounds strange to be excited for a topic like this, but I think it's going to be a very real conversation that a lot of people can relate to. It's been a hard year for a lot of people, and we have lots of leaders and lots of women that listen. And I think this is going to be really impactful.
Yay, bring it on.
All right. So
Let's go deep.
let's dig right in. So leading through depression. So Lynn, have you suffered with depression before the last year?
I had not. I had not. I had friends that did. I had family that had various challenges, but I couldn't relate. I was generally the strong one. I was the one that friends came to when they were going through that stuff, right? So, and I would give them some party lines, some generic affirmations, and go, just make a plan. Find your bootstraps. Here, have a hug. But
How do
no,
you
I
feel about that now?
yeah, much different. Uh, but I had not until 2020, and I don't know if like you said, maybe others out there can relate. 2020 changes things, and you never know when something's going to change for you. Maybe it's a pandemic, and maybe it's a life event or something, but you don't expect it.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because you may be aware that you're going through things, but you still don't expect it. So, can you talk just briefly about your 2020 and kind of what got you to where you are, whatever you want to share?
2020 for most people, I think, was rocked by a pandemic and changing their lifestyle and changing their connections. I worked at home for 15 years. I'm a technology executive for a large financial institution. I'm also a potter and a writer. And I don't want to gloss over and say the pandemic didn't change things much, but everything I'm about to tell you that happened in my 2020 had nothing to do with COVID, and everything to do with just life happening.
So, it's just piling on
It's a piling
COVID.
on of COVID. So we'll just brush through the highlights. I went through a very extended and painful toxic breakup with a partner I thought was the love of my life, and on the
Oh,
heels of that, like that's enough, right? Like, okay,
yeah.
so we're gonna keep piling, Jen. After that, a few months in, some of my good girlfriends, well-meaning, to help with what I was feeling, some loneliness, maybe a little depression at that point that I hadn't identified or called it that. But my well-meaning friend said, "Hey, you should get back out there. You should date. You've had a few months to mourn. Like, go on some dates."
Super easy to do in the pandemic, by the way.
But so I did, and I was assaulted on a Tinder date, my first date out of the gate. So all the things that you picture when I say the word assault, that happened.
Oh my God.
After that, two of my dogs died in 2020. They were old and out of warranty, but that was a thing. And then 6 months after that, in November, I ended up in the hospital in septic shock from a pretty rare immune disorder and nearly orphaned my kids a second time. So, and I say that phrase because that's what my brain kept telling me, the voice in my head kept telling me during this year. Oh, I almost orphaned my kids because I went on a date and got beat up. I almost orphaned my kids because I ended up in the hospital.
So, already you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your kids.
Yeah, my kids, my relationships, my other things. But yeah, it was I went from being the strong one that friends come to when they're upset to being the one who was literally on my bathroom floor having a panic attack, and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't control my breathing. I couldn't focus. I couldn't get up.
I can relate to that. I suffer from anxiety and have for years. And when you have that first panic attack, you really have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, so that was my first experience with it, and of feeling out of control, feeling like I didn't have control of my very basic things, of my body, of my breathing, of my relationships, of anything. So the day after the assault, I went to work.
Oh my gosh. Which in hindsight, you may be, I've had some experiences where in the moment it just seemed like what I should do. But in hindsight, you go, what was I thinking? Because you don't realize what's going on.
But I'm not sure you ever thought, what was I thinking? when you went to work the next day? Did you, Lynn?
I thought, what good's it going to do to not go to work?
Mm.
Right? Am I just going to lay in bed and think about this all day? I felt, Regina and I talked a little bit about this before the call today, and I have some really strong women that I work with who are going through some really horrible things, and they refuse to not come to work. They come to work, and something they've said resonates with me, that it's the one place they feel in control.
Yes.
Right? Everything else can be falling apart, but I can show up, I can take my conference call. That day I'm all upset and hurt physically and in every way. It said, what's it going to do for me to not work today? I'm not going to heal today. I'm not going to heal tomorrow. I've got to figure out how to keep moving through the trauma, with the trauma. Let it help move me forward. So now, that said, by the end of the day, I was calling my boss and letting her know what was going on and saying, you know what, I've got to log off. This happened yesterday. I've tried to work today. It's not working.
Was your boss, I'm assuming, supportive?
Absolutely.
And because I'm thinking, like, as a leader, you hear that from someone on your team. What was, their reaction, or, how did they make any suggestions for you, or?
Complete empathy. I respect the heck out of everyone on my team. My boss, her leader, my team, everyone was very empathetic and very, take all the time you need. We've got you. No balls are going to drop. What the heck are you doing here? Was kind of their response.
Yeah.
Right? Why are you here? And the next day I had my staff meeting. I manage a team, and I shared with them what had happened. Is something a lot of women feel not comfortable talking about for so many reasons. We're made to feel shame or guilt about that. And I said, you know what, this isn't my fault. This isn't shame or guilt, but this is something that happened to me, just as if I had had a car wreck or a heart attack or something. Like, this happened to me, and it's going to affect me and my ability to deliver and my ability to keep a smile on my face for a while. And they need to know what's going on, not just say, oh, I'm feeling sad, I've got a cold. It's, guys, I need to be really transparent with you, because I'm honest with them about everything. That's a key leadership tenet. Is we can go on a whole tangent about Brene Brown and vulnerability and leadership and honesty. We will.
Oh my gosh, I could go on that tangent with you.
We've been there, and we like to go there.
But I shared with them. I said, I don't want to make you guys uncomfortable, but I need you to know what's actually happening with me, so you don't think I'm just sitting at home playing Words with Friends all afternoon and not showing up to your call.
So that's very brave to do. And you did that intentionally. And what was their reaction, and how do you think that changed how you were able to take care of yourself?
Their reaction was, again, all sympathy, empathy. It's, what do you need? We've got you. It was always a complete, we've got you. Go back to bed, step away. If you need to work. If you don't. If you're halfway through a call and you need to drop, just let us know and we'll pick it up. And that happened a couple times. I'd be halfway through a call and I'd have a crying fit. This was part of depression I didn't expect either. So let's just throw that in. Not only the panic attacks, but the crying at completely inappropriate times and not being able to identify why. Like, I wasn't thinking about my breakup. I wasn't thinking about the assault. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was thinking about work. I'm running a call, and next thing you know, I'm crying. Crap. Mute button. Text, tag in one of my teammates and say, hey, can you pop on this call and take it over? Because I got to step away a minute. That was hard.
I was just thinking, oh, that's so hard. But had you not shared that with them and been so transparent and vulnerable and had that kind of moment, it would be very different.
It would. And we're going to back up before that, Jen. If I didn't have a really good relationship with my team before that, all bets are off, right? That wouldn't have worked. But it only worked. I only felt okay to be vulnerable with them because I had a history of being vulnerable with them and them with me. Like, we had a really good layer of trust already and good collaboration already, mutual respect, mutual care.
And that comes with being vulnerable on a regular basis. And so had you not had that leadership style, had you not built that trust, had you not had the relationships and been vulnerable, it would have been really freaking hard to then have that conversation and say, this is what's happened to me. And I want you to know that I may be offline. I may need you to take things. I may not be myself. That would be a really hard conversation had you not been vulnerable and allowed them to do that as well and had those relationships before.
Exactly. Exactly. So, if we're going to take leadership lessons out of this, it's be a good friend to yourself, be a good friend to your team, to your coworkers, because you don't know when these days are going to come when to them and you need them to feel comfortable telling you, or when it's going to come to you and you got to have a village to lean on.
Yeah, and you've exhibited, your own character of what of just your relationship and your trust with them, that now you've empowered them to let you know. And you probably, I'm guessing, they felt comfortable that if something was going on, they could share that with you before. But gosh, now they really feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's modeling it. It's not the very simplest of leadership, right? You guys are clearly students of leadership. I've been a leadership junkie for a couple of decades now, going to conferences and books and on podcasts. I love your Leaderish podcast,
Thank you.
But all of that comes back to relationship, right? And monkey see, monkey do. People will not care what you say; they care what you do. So when they see me taking vacations, in the good times or the bad times, I'm like, I want you guys to take your vacation days. By the way, I'm out for the next week. I'm going to Cabo. See you. You got to think about, what are you modeling for your children if your children are your team. I suspect we have a lot of full-time moms, maybe even listening to this podcast. And let's be clear, you are leaders and you have a team and you need to be vulnerable with them too. Whole other rabbit trail about how my family dealt with this. But
oh gosh, I can't imagine. Sorry, so many different things are spinning in my head. And I know we could go a lot of different ways. How did you take care of your team and take care of yourself and your family? So you have a team, you have a responsibility at work, you have your family as well. How did you kind of allow yourself to, and how did you focus on taking care of yourself?
I learned a difficult lesson of asking for and accepting help.
Do you feel like you knew that before?
I knew bits of it before. Again, if any of my team ever listens to this, they'll know that they help me all the time, right? In the past, especially 6 or 7 years, the team I've had around me will step up and take things off my plate. And delegation has been something I've really worked on. Not delegation is the flip side of the coin of leadership development, right? When you allow someone to help with something, it develops them. So over time, my team and I have really gelled. They pull stuff off my plate, or I throw something off my plate onto them for years. And it built me a trust and built them a trust. They felt confident enough that they could do it. And I felt confident enough that, yeah, I don't have to be 100%. I don't even have to be 50% because they've got it. I know they've got it. I trust that they can do my work. One of my team said to me after all of the dust settled on the hospitalization and the second nearly dying, they said, Lynn, I was thanking them for their help in keeping things going. And they said two things. They said, Lynn, we know that you would do this for us, and that our teammates would do it for us because of the culture we've built. But there was a second in there, but said that we also know that there's what it was, that you have developed and invested in us and given us our own runway to make our own mistakes. You've made a safe place for us to grow for these past however many years. So we know that we have the security to fail. Even if a ball drops, it's going to be okay because you've made it okay to fail as long as we're learning. So that gave, in their mind, this wonderful sense of safety to be able to help me, right? It's one thing if you say, hey, will you take this thing off my plate? And I think you know how to do it. You can probably figure out how to do it, but I'm going to worry and double check. I was able to heal because I didn't have to worry. And I didn't have to worry because my team knew that that they had it, and they knew that if they didn't have it, they'd figure it out and that it would be okay.
What a beautiful, not a beautiful story in what you've been through. Obviously, I'm sorry that you went through that.
Thank you.
I'm very thankful to see where you are now. And, you're just beaming with pride for the culture of your team and for what they were able to jump in and do. And they, you said it, but I can feel it. They have no doubt that you would do that for them if you haven't even already. And so what I'm hearing loud and clear is it's all about the culture you create with your team. It's not about being the manager. It's truly about being, I wouldn't even use the word leader to describe it, but I mean, it is leader in the true sense of a word, but it's caring about the people in your care and just being that's just amazing. I don't even really have great words to describe it, but
Yeah, it's all the things. And I would encourage our village, if you don't have that village, if you don't feel like you could get sick tomorrow, why not? And what can you do about it? Right? How can you maybe strengthen those relationships? How can you show that you care a little more so that when you need care, and it's not about a quid pro quo, I don't want to sound like that, but how can you strengthen that village so that you feel they could come to you if they had a horrible life event happen? So,
or several.
or several.
So how are you doing now?
I am much better now. I won't say I'm all fabulous. I think about self-care. I came to a place a couple of months ago. I was feeling much better, and I went to my favorite bagel shop to get a bagel to celebrate feeling much better. There's a point to this story. I promise I'll be quick. But
No,
I go to my favorite bagel shop, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to celebrate that I'm doing so much better. And the bagel shop had closed early because they were sold out. And
ah,
and I fell in a crying fit in the parking lot. And I just went, I don't know if I'm better. I thought I was better.
Maybe
And
not so much better. Maybe a
maybe
little
not
better.
so much better. So I sat in that parking lot and I wrote this whole long thing in my journal that I ended up sharing with some friends on social media, but to share the story, to say, you know what, in the last year, I have tried so many things. There's this Thomas Edison quote, and I grossly paraphrase it, but it says, I haven't failed, but I found 10,000 things that didn't work.
Mhm.
So I said,
I love that quote.
here are 20 something things of self-care I've tried, right? I've done yoga consistently every day since January 1st. Yoga with Adrienne and Austin, by the way, free shout out. I've done therapy. I've done time with friends. I've done asking for help. I've done outdoor time, hiking, kayak. I switched to decaf for a month.
Ugh.
I focused on my sleep habits, my water intake. I did creative projects, long showers. I did spoken word poetry out in public
Wow.
about my story. Dancing, singing. I bought flamenco shoes. Like this list goes really on. Decluttered the house. I did a fun photo shoot with some friends to feel pretty. So all these things, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. And despite all those things, I cried over my bagel shop being closed that day.
I can actually relate to that. I'm a cancer survivor, and what I'm hearing you say is you're trying to control the things you can and make yourself better. And it may or may not be the same, but I definitely felt a lack of control during that time. So, oh, my poor husband. I started growing wheatgrass. I did guided meditation. I also did yoga all the time, which was wonderful. And I decided we were going to have a complete raw food diet. And I will never, oh, yeah. Oh, you'll have to ask Tom about that. But one day he came home from work because I was still home healing as well. And I had made mashed potatoes. I'm using quotations with my fingers right now, mashed potatoes, but it was actually cauliflower, which cauliflower mashed potatoes are great. If they're cooked, they're good. I put them in a blender and the recipe literally said until warm. So Tom came home, sat down to dinner, took his spoon in this pile of blended cauliflower and it like crumbled. He was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, I think we really should eat raw food now." So anyway, that's kind of a long story. But yes, I can relate to the long list of things. And yes, it is important to do something and you are feeling the loss of control, so you want to do those things, but to your point, some of them work and some of them don't, but sometimes they distract you from what you're feeling until when you feel it, it does come out of the blue and it surprises you and you go, "Wait, what? I'm at a bagel shop. What's happening? I'm breaking down. I don't understand."
Right. So it's about, um, Another thing on my list of things I tried was feeling the feelings, right? I have a great like slide suggestion for folks if they want something that has encouraged me during that time. This book by Pema Chodron called "When Things Fall Apart." But she's a Buddhist meditation teacher. But there's this
Hmm.
chapter that just stuck out to me, and again, the poor paraphrase is that when you're feeling like a pile of poo, sometimes you just need to be with the poo. You need to examine it, touch it, smell it. What is it like? Really sit with that and understand it. And don't say that there's something wrong with you because there's a pile of poo, right? There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. I have a new tattoo on my finger that says unbroken and a gratitude sign
Oh,
over here. So you wake up with gratitude every day. But
oh, that's
um,
fantastic. I love that. The funny thing about embracing or sitting in the pile of poo, maybe I said that a little differently than you did, but it reminds me of a very good friend of mine is a Marine, and he taught me there a phrase called "embrace the suck," which is really instead of trying to push it away, push it away, push it away, just you know what? It is what it is. Just embrace it and kind of shift your mindset. So it's funny, a Buddhist monk and the Marines, kind of a similar a
yeah,
similar philosophy there.
One thing that I hear from both of you is that there are lots of things you can try, but I feel like what is in common for both of your stories is that there was time. It just takes time for us as humans to work through things. And so, do you find yourself giving yourself grace to take that time, or do you beat yourself up because you need to be done with it now?
we are both nodding. Your audience can't see this, but Jen and I are both nodding our heads vigorously. Yes, it does take time. And sometimes it takes more tools than what we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have these I won't say control issues, control tendencies.
There you go.
I'm using grace with that language too.
Indeed.
I think Jen's my person. We get this. And it's being able to step back and go, you know what? When I broke down crying on conference calls 4 days in a row and I cried at the bagel shop, I called my doctor and I said, maybe there's something else that we should explore. Right.
That's
Mhm.
fantastic. And I'm sure
Go
your doctor
you.
was so supportive and
That was
you
hard for me to
Mhm.
accept medical help to say I have depression. Like that's the first time I put a label on it. Ladies, let
Yeah.
me be clear. During all
how
of this, that was the first time I put a label on it. And I thought I was done. I thought I was better. I was going to the bagel shop to celebrate being better. And in that moment, it came so far down that I went, not only am I not better, but I need more tools.
Yeah.
that's such a great way to say that. And to Regina, to your point about time, yes. But it's also something I've heard you say twice now, Lynn. One is having language and putting being able to put a label on it, because
Yes.
I know from my experience, I struggled with anxiety for several years. And I never said, I'm suffering. I need help. I never said that. And so how long did it take? Because you said you just, had put the label on it. How long did it take you to get to that point where you called your doctor and said, I'm depressed?
That was probably January of this year. My assault was June. My hospitalization was November. So it was all through the holidays, which were extra
Ugh.
suck. We didn't even talk about the holidays, girlfriends, but I wrote all the bad stuff down on a piece of paper and burned it on New Year's, thinking it was going to be better. And in January, two very dear friends died, one in January, one in
Oh my
February.
goodness gracious,
So,
Lynn.
so it continues. It continues. But yeah, it was at kind of in that moment where I'm like, okay, the pile on just keeps coming, and my toolbox still isn't deep enough. So I did accept chemical help, and I'm still on that chemical help. But I'm going to steer the ship a little more again, yet another direction to say, fast forward, we're now 4 months after I acknowledged I was depressed. I now feel like the depression is under control, but there's something new. It doesn't always come by itself, right? It's often depression with anxiety, depression with trauma, depression with something else. Now I've got it with the side of lonely. And this is something that leaders get. Like just leaders just get it regardless, like by itself, even without the depression or the trauma or the anxiety, leaders get lonely. And I'd heard leaders talk about that at a leadership summit I went to probably 10 years ago, and it didn't resonate. I didn't understand. Now I get it a little more. This is why they say age brings wisdom. And there's a great book I'm reading right now, an audiobook by the former Surgeon General Vivek Murthy called Together. And it examines loneliness as a health crisis for us. And he started writing this before the pandemic.
What is it called again?
Together by Vivek Murthy. And something that really resonated with me is he said, if you wake up a lot of times at night, which my Fitbit tells me I wake up 40 something times at night, he said, you're not depressed, you're lonely, because those things manifest very differently. He said, not a blanket statement, you're lonely, but you could be like this is something to consider, that maybe you're not depressed, because loneliness manifests differently when we feel alone or isolated from our tribe, our pack. Evolutionarily, you're sleeping with one eye open, waiting for a wolf or a bear or something. So you
Right.
don't get good sleep. And friends, what happens when we don't get good sleep for a long time? Nothing good. Nothing good. So
Nothing good from my house, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So for months on end. But something that can be a useful nugget, or it was very useful to me anyway, maybe it will be useful for you and your listeners, is he defines 3 kinds of loneliness. One is wanting your person, which is kind of my big gap right now. I don't have a person, your intimate partner. Another is your friend group, your social loneliness. And then the third was collective loneliness, feeling like you're part of a larger whole. Maybe that's your nonprofit work, maybe, something like that, where you connect outside of just
being a part of a community. Yeah.
And it was eye-opening to me that he says any one of those 3 can cause you to not sleep well, can cause depression, can cause anxiety. You can have a wonderful, fulfilling partner in marriage, but if you're missing 1 or 2 of those others, or vice versa, right? I have a great friend group. I feel like I've got a great community, obviously with my work and my friends,
and we all have a different one that we're missing, and except for maybe the lucky few in a pandemic that are like thriving in all 3 of those. But just think of all the people that are experiencing, some sort of loneliness, and hopefully there's some into that soon. But you said something that I want you to explain a little bit further. And I know, Regina, we're probably like way over time, but it's such a good conversation. I could have predicted this is going to happen. You said you had heard leaders get lonely and now you totally get it. What do you mean by that? Because it sounds like you're saying that happens to leaders frequently. I've heard of this concept a little bit, but I'm not sure I'm super familiar.
Yeah. And I don't know. When I say it can relate, at the same time, I want to take it back because I just described how not lonely I feel because I've established this great culture with my team where I can be vulnerable with them. But I think especially leaders that maybe haven't done as much of that vulnerability work and as much of that sharing, they feel like they're making decisions in a vacuum, or that the weight of the world is on them to steer this massive ship, and they don't know that they've got dozens of people rowing behind them.
Oh, I love that. Well, and, as a leader, we're taught, servant leadership and all of that. And how do we take care of our team? And so I can definitely see how, but who's taking care of me? Well, you're building your community around you, your team and all of that. So it was just on my mind as especially female leaders.
Yeah. And you want to get the loneliest day is where you're told you have to lay off a percentage of your staff, right? Leaders get lonely because in that moment, you don't have a village at work. Probably.
Well, and another leadership principle is, if there's a win, it's the team that did it. If there's a ball that drops, it's me. I'm the leader. I'm taking the brunt of that. But that can get lonely too, because you're taking all the hard stuff and giving, the team the accolades, which is how it should be. But if you have a true team like you do, then it's really all of you, no matter what it is.
Yeah. But again, this book told me something shocking, and I'm going to just share really quickly with you guys. They referenced a study that said people with strong social relationships are 50% less likely to die prematurely than those with weak social relationships, and found the impact of lacking social connection on lifespan equal to the risk of smoking 15 cigarettes a day, greater than the risk associated with obesity, excess alcohol consumption, and lack of exercise. So loneliness is hazardous to our health.
Indeed.
Well, it really takes it all the way back to the culture that you have with your team that trust, that vulnerability.
Mhm.
It's all about that completely. And of course, that's where this conversation would go. But in hindsight, I can see that, but I'm not sure I would have said that, originally. What are some of the positives that have come out of this experience for you? Obviously, it's your relationship with your team. What are some of the things that have come out of this with a silver lining, maybe?
I think one is not only the relationship with the team, but relationship with my daughter. I think she would not be mad at me for saying that she has had the opportunity to learn through anxiety over time, and I
Love the way
would,
you said that.
yeah,
Very positive
I
spin.
try not to say suffer from it, right? Our brain hears our words and holds them. So she's had opportunity to learn through anxiety, and for years I haven't really been able to relate. Not really. And I would give her advice that was just it was trite. It was heartfelt, don't get me wrong, but I couldn't really reach her where she was because I hadn't been there. And once I had spent a few hours on my bathroom floor and couldn't get up, I could relate to her a lot more.
Oh gosh, yeah. I
So
hate that either one of you had to go through that, but if she was already going through it and you had to go through it, at least you have each other and you can deeply relate to each other now.
yeah. And I think the other silver lining is just over this time to have the appreciation that because you have emotions, because these emotions are strong, because they might even distract you from being able to do what you want to get done that day, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means you're very, very human. So there's a whole Glennon Doyle track you can go down there. We'll put a pin in that.
For sure. Oh, Brene, Glennon, we
We love them
could
all.
talk. We could talk all day.
These are like our tribe ladies that you bring up,
Yes,
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
have artwork.
or
back there.
Sherpas.
Yeah, but we don't cry because there's something wrong with us. We cry because there's something wrong with the world, and we're real. We're human, and we can feel it. So
Oh, that's so true. Well, Regina, I know you have one final question.
I do. Lynn, what is something that the women that are listening to you, what is something that you would tell them to go do in the next 24 hours?
Especially anybody that may,
Be suffering right now.
yes.
Yeah.
anyone that has the opportunity to heal from their stuff, I would say, and it sounds generic, but I want to make it real specific. Self-care.
Mhm.
Remember, I listed off 20 different things of self-care I'd tried, and that,
Yes.
sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So my advice is try something today. And if it doesn't work, try something else. And if that doesn't work, or alongside that, talk to somebody you trust and just share, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help because people want to help.
Indeed.
Yeah. Use your village. That's it.
Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much for, again, being so brave to have this conversation and share with others.
So brave.
Incredible. I've learned a lot and I'm feeling on the feels. So thank you very much.
So every episode, we really like to end on a really positive note and talk about, as leaders, what we're doing to care for ourselves, which, Lynn, that just goes exactly from what you were talking about. How are you caring for yourself? So, Jen, I'll start with you. What are you doing to fill your cup this week?
Speaking of the 3 types of loneliness or, kind of social interactions that you need, I am going to dinner this evening to celebrate the birthday of my friend Tammy, with our other friend Lee. And so 2 friends that we started working together years and years ago and have always been good friends and kept in touch, but I haven't seen them in a while. So our conversation today makes me even more excited to see them and spend some good time with them. So Regina, what are you doing to fill your cup?
Well, at the beginning of our episode, I mentioned that I have been sportsing all day with my boys. And so I will say that this morning I spent my time filling my cup by cheering very loudly, extremely obnoxiously, very much frustrating my husband, and doing it all for the good of me and my children.
I love it. And did they just have so much fun playing soccer and baseball?
I think so. I think I have more fun cheering for them than they actually do playing.
And they're little, so that's fine.
Yeah. They'll decide if they want it. They're not going to be pros. I mean, I'll just tell you that right now. They're good, but neither of them are going pro.
But you are
Anywho.
a pro mom in the cheering section.
I should have been a cheerleader. I missed my calling. Lynn, what about you? What are you doing to fill your cup?
Well, aside from the obvious spending time laughing and talking and virtual hugging with you beautiful women, I am celebrating the start of Linuary today. I booked myself an Airbnb down in the Bishop Arts District here in Dallas, an area town I just hadn't spent much time in. So I'm just spoiling myself with a little staycation this weekend.
Good for you.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I know. Isn't it lovely?
Yeah. Drink wine, look at art. Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I'll just, 20, 30 minutes from home. You too can do it.
I love it.
Just a quick drive down the street, right? All right, Jen, wrap us up. Tell them how they can get in touch with us.
All right. Well, if you would like to reach out to us, we would really love to hear from you. You can ask Lynn a question. You can ask us a question. You can let us know what you want to hear more of at Leaderish Podcast on Instagram, at Leaderish Podcast on Facebook, and leaderishpodcast@gmail.com. Please send us an email.
Yeah, send us an email. We need topic ideas because we had a flood of topic ideas in 1 week, and we're getting through those very quickly, and we're almost coming to the end. My editorial schedule, I don't have anything new to add to it. I need topic ideas. We need topic ideas. What do you want us to talk about? What do you care to listen to? We need you to send us, DM us, email us, whatever. Just get with us. We need to know. What do you want? We're
Love
here
it.
for you. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a really incredible conversation. Again, thank you, Lynn, for sharing in such a beautiful, inspiring way.
Yes.
After experiencing so many horrible things. And I can just see you kind of beaming, sharing all of this, even though it was a horrible experience. It's obvious that you've come a long way. And so let's end with just saying, Lynn, cheers to you. And thank you for sharing